I did a video a little while back on the Edinburgh Trams, and in that video I mentioned that at one time negotiations took place to sell some of the trams to the Croydon tram system. At the time I could only speculate as to what went on and why it didn't happen. Well, I recently learned a bit more, and now I have, if not the complete story, a lot more of it. So, to briefly recap, what was supposed to happen was that Edinburgh was supposed to get a massive overhaul of its public transport, including a whole network of tram lines. Then, for political reasons, this all got cut back. The budget was enormously reduced, and instead of a network, what Edinburgh got was a line. Unfortunately, they'd ordered enough trams for a network, and it all happened so quickly that they couldn't cancel the order. Consequently, they ended up with twice as many trams as they needed. This was one of many problems with the building of the Edinburgh system, and I covered them in more detail in my aforementioned video on the trams. I'll link it in the little card at the end. Meanwhile, in South London, the tram link was having problems of its own. Not to anything like the same extent, to be fair. Up until 2008, the trams had been operated by a private company, Tramtrack Croydon Limited. That year, Transport for London bought the trams out. There had been disputes over TfL's fare structure, resulting in TCL taking legal action against TfL. TfL reasoned that they could run a more efficient, better integrated, more attractive system for passengers if they were running the show, and it wasn't as if they were saving any money farming it out to TCL in the first place. The takeover was known as Project Seagull, don't ask me why. One of the big changes they wanted was to up the frequency of services, particularly in the busiest sections. As it was, there were barely enough of their Bombardier CR4000 trams to maintain the service as it stood, let alone increase it. Initially, they estimated they'd need 6 more, if only someone happened to have a bunch of trams going spare. The thing is, a tram is not just a tram. Different cities have different requirements. Oddly enough, the requirements for Croydon and Edinburgh are not dissimilar. Both have fairly heavy usage and a frequent service. Both pass through densely populated areas. Both feature street running and segregated tracks with town and country sections. Both have some steep climbs. One of the requirements of the Croydon system is that if a tram should break down on the climb to New Addington, the following tram should be able to push it to the top. And both pass through historically sensitive areas. Yes, Croydon has historically sensitive areas, which may come as a surprise both to outsiders and to certain town planners. Zing, oh no he didn't. TfL wanted to shop around a bit. The Edinburgh trams, of the CAF Urbos 3 family, seemed to be an almost perfect fit. The only problem was that the Edinburgh trams are too long to fit in the Croydon stops, but that could be resolved simply by lifting the middle sections out. And what was more, they were brand new and barely used. Edinburgh wanted to sell, Croydon wanted to buy. But if Edinburgh wanted to sell their trams, they'd have to fight for it. As well as the joint bid by the City of Edinburgh and CAF, there were 2 others, PESA and Stadler. Unfortunately, the deal Edinburgh were offering was not great. Taking on their trams would involve modifying them, and there would be a certain element of risk, so TfL would need a pretty solid incentive. In the end, they couldn't reach a deal. Meanwhile, Stadler's proposal was quite attractive. Stadler's big thing is custom vehicles tailor-made to the system. The trams they were offering were from their Variobahn family, based on ones they'd already supplied to Bergen Light Rail in Norway. The new trams would be known, simply, as the Croydon Variobahn. "You're on," said TfL. The new trams entered service in spring 2012. They did require some lengthening of tram stops, though not to the same extent as the unmodified Edinburgh trams would have. They were a success, with 4 more being delivered in 2015 and another 2 in 2016. The Tramlink, or London Trams as it's now known, has seen increasing ridership ever since it first opened, and they've only been able to keep up with the demand thanks to the additional trams. As for Edinburgh, their line is being extended at the time of making this video, so they may yet have a use for those extra trams. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, I'd be grateful for a like, and you may wish to subscribe for more on subjects including, but not limited to, things that run on rails. I'd like to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. As always, you are the Variobahn to my tramway. And I'll see you all again very soon. Cheerio.